Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
First this morning, the Chief Constable of South Yorkshire has been suspended following Tuesday's verdicts in the Hillsborough inquest. David Crompton is accused by campaigners of overseeing attempts to shift the blame onto Liverpool fans during the inquest. Police and Crime Commissioner Dr. Alan Billings, who took the decision to remove David Crompton from his job, explained why he had to go.
I've reached this decision with a heavy heart following discussions with David, both in the run-up to and following the delivery of the Hillsborough verdicts. My decision is based on the erosion of public trust and confidence referenced in statements and comments in the House of Commons this lunchtime, along with public calls for the Chief Constable's resignation from a number of quarters, including local MPs.
Nick Clegg, should David Crompton have been suspended?
Oh, I think there was no alternative. I spoke to Alan Billings about it the day before the judgment came out, and I think it was quite clear from that and other conversations that whilst, of course, David Crompton was not around 27 years ago, the decision by South Yorkshire Police to continue, after, by the way, having issued a fulsome apology to the families in Liverpool, to nonetheless continue with a lot of the misinformation that had been perpetuated by South Yorkshire Police over so many years was a huge error, and quite rightly, I think, he's taken responsibility for it.
Is there a risk that because of the failure to get to the truth for 27 years of what happened that day at Hillsborough, that individual police officers today may be unfairly blamed for the actual deaths of the 96 fans rather than, or just for the cover-up?
Oh, no, of course there's lots of risks. I mean, I, as the constituency MP in South Yorkshire, on behalf of my constituents, I'm worried, for instance, that the very good, dutiful, professional, dedicated police officers who work in South Yorkshire, in the South Yorkshire Force, who've got nothing to do with the events, either what happened in Hillsborough or the subsequent events, they are deeply demoralised now. So we, urgently for the people of South Yorkshire, we need to somehow try and restore a sense of morale and purpose to the force itself. But unfortunately for the force, of course, it goes wider than Hillsborough. If you look at the explanations of one of David Crompton's predecessors, Med Hughes, to the House of Commons about the horrific things that happened in Rotherham, the sexual exploitation of some very vulnerable children there, claiming that the force had no idea what was going on. I'm afraid this is just another hammer blow against a force whose credibility has been damaged in so many respects over a very long period of time.
So should David Crompton just resign, just go permanently, do you think?
To be honest, look, he's suspended now. This is not going to be fixed by whether he's suspended or resigned. We've got a profound problem in a police force who, for various reasons, complex reasons, have simply not met the most basic standards, not only integrity, but of professionalism on a number of fronts over very many years. So something radical needs to be done. Whoever is elected as the Police and Crime Commissioner in South Yorkshire next week, this is their absolute number one priority. Now, some people have said about disbanding the force, folding it into another one. I'm not sure if that necessarily will produce better policing in the local area, but clearly every option needs to be considered.
I mean, a message on a website for the force's retired officers said they had served dedicated and courageous careers and that they should be proud of their work despite the inquest conclusions. What's your response to that?
Well, it's just a very sort of insensitive thing to say right now. I mean, of course, in the very strict limits of how it might have been intended, of course it is right to say there are plenty of individual police officers, I know many of them, who are as good police officers as any other around the country, and their integrity should not be sort of willfully be besmirched because of what happened 27 years ago or even recently in the inquest. But to say that now,
I mean, it wasn't meant, obviously, for public consumption, but that doesn't matter.
To say that, I can totally understand why the families of the 96 feel that it was an incredibly crass and insensitive thing to say. But look, I'm also a South Yorkshire MP, and I want a good police force who do the work that I want for my constituents. And the problem at the moment is you've got a force in complete disarray. So after the PCC, the Police and Crime Commissioner elections next week, we finally have to turn a page on this very, very sorry history of the force over many years.
Thank you.
I've been getting away with worth it